Hello, welcome back to Kubby. Now we're doing this one for the second time. Yesterday I did a video on this, and while I was editing it last night, I was watching it back through, and I was watching it back through with my mum. And as I was watching it, I really regretted the pasting I gave it, because it didn't deserve it. It's actually, aside from the styling, I will admit, it's got a bloody moustache. I mean, come on. I mean, this is a facelift one, so it's got the nicer lights and different, you know, the different bumper and everything. This is actually a Stonic 2. Now, there is a lesser one. There's a Stonic 1. I mean, there's all sorts of special editions that go with this as well, but there's only two problems I have with this car. That and the colour. Now, I have driven it, and do you know what? It's actually not bad. The controls are nice and light, which I prefer. The clutch is, you know there's a clutch there, but it's not heavy. It's not, it's not strenuous to use. The gearbox is nice and light. You can flick around the gears with it. The interior is actually a nice place to be. But could you live with something with this styling? Anybody who had a Ford Scorpio in the late 90s will know what I'm talking about. It's not offensive like the Scorpio was, because that looked like a frog with a rocket up its ass. This just looks like a sort of really not pleased geography teacher. Do you know what I mean? I don't like this sort of car. I will make that very, very clear. I mean, I drive a Jaguar, for Christ's sake. Why the hell would I want one of these? If I had no choice and I needed a car quickly, again, this would be a car to go for. Now, this one is a 1 litre turbo and produces 98 horsepower. It says 99 PS, but that's a lie. You can get it with a manual and automatic gearbox. You can also get it with mild hybrid. But why would you bother? If you're going to buy a hybrid, get a Prius. Don't buy these 48 volt mild hybrids. They don't work. All it is an electric starter motor. That's it. Now, the interior. It's not a basic car by any stretch of the imagination. It's got air conditioning. It's got a screen. It's got Android Auto, Apple CarPlay, all that kind of gubbins. And the interior is actually quite a nice place to be. Should we go and have a look? So, in here, it is a little bit on the basic side. It's got aircon rather than climate control. But it's not a bad place to be. I mean, it's got... On this, we've got lane departure warnings, you've got all sorts of weird and wonderful safety kit on this. Automatic headlights, automatic wipers. But it's actually quite a nice place to be. I mean, the last Kia I properly sat in was a Kia Mentor from 1997. And the dashboard was made out of, that tray that you got in milk tray, that really thin plastic? Yeah, that's what it was made out of. Not a pretty place to be. Now, we all know the glow up that Kia and Hyundai have had, Hyundai have had over the last sort of 10 years. And you know what? It's well deserved. I was ready to give this thing an absolute kicking, and I can't. The seats are nice and comfy. The materials in here are, you can't, it's at the cheaper end, but it's not, I mean, everything's well squishy. I mean, there is a bit of scratchy plastics on the top of the door, but they're hard wearing areas, so that's where you expect them to be. It doesn't feel cheap, so you do kind of wonder where they saved the money, because this car is actually cheap to start with. I mean, used ones are now around about the, I think about the 7 or 8 grand mark. So I mean, you could probably get one lower that looks like a hen house, but why would you do that? Anyway, right, let's go and have a look at the back end, because that boot, I've got a sneaking suspicion, has got a nasty little surprise. So, starting at the back end, let's have a look. Now, it's not offensive by any stretch of the imagination. Kind of looks like a Kia Ceed that's a bit upset because the number plate's dropped. I do like the sort of chunky bumpers. I like the fact that it has a real exhaust. The only thing I don't like about these kinds of cars now is really small wiper blades on the back. I mean, saying that, I don't even have one on the back of my car. And before anybody says that's illegal, no it isn't. It's a saloon, therefore it doesn't need one, supposedly. Right, let's have a look at the boot, shall we? Okay, now this is actually a lot bigger than I thought it was going to be. Because you look at the side profile, it doesn't look like the boot's going to be massive. Size-wise, the boot's actually bigger than the Citroen C3 Picasso I've just done. You could fit a couple of suitcases in here, take this parcel shelf off, which, can I just point out, something that I have literally just spotted. It's got a carrier bag hook on the bottom, so it can keep your eggs up. Americans, the price of eggs these days, you really want to get something like this. But yeah, this is actually not a bad motor. Now, my only issue is it comes with a 1 litre turbo only. They didn't do it with other engines, they did it with a 1.4 and then a 1.6 diesel. If it was me, I would go for the 1.6 diesel. Purely because it's bigger, chunkier engine with more torque. And I think they had about 115, 120 brakes, something like that. Now, I was ready to give this thing an absolute battering. And I did yesterday, and I regretted it. Today, I actually quite like it. Should you buy one of these? If you're wanting a car that'll literally rip your boxes off and, you know, have fun with your trolleys, no, because it won't do that. If you want a car that's comfortable, cheap to run, cheap to own, cheap to insure, and gets you round, you and the family round in fairly good comfort, and also the fact that it comes with a 7-year warranty, which is better than anybody else in the business, go for one of these. Can't say fairer than that.